Gentlemen, thank you very much. Before we take a look at the new power rankings from Pete Prisco, we'll take a look back. Here's a look at the top 10 after week 3. One interesting to note, Raiders there with their 3-0 start at 6. And of course, the Rams and Cardinals will go at it, both teams coming into that one 3-0. So after this weekend slate of games, you will notice the Raiders no longer in the top 10. In are the Los Angeles Chargers, coming in up 4 spots to number 7. The Rams' loss to the Cardinals has them down 5 spots to number 6, but Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray and company at number 1. All right, Pete Prisco up late last night, up early this morning with his power rankings. Pete, so 2 beats 1 to take over the top spot, Arizona over L.A. What do you like about the Cardinals right now as they have the only undefeated record in the NFL?
Well, Kyler Murray's playing at an MVP level. I mean, the things he's doing in the passing game, the things he's doing with his legs to get out of pressure and escape pressure and make plays down the field with his head up, he's playing as well as he's ever played. And that's saying something because early last season, before he got hurt, he was playing great football. When you look at that passing game, remember there were questions about Cliff Kingsbury going into the season. Could this offense be sustainable? But they have so many weapons. You saw A.J. Green get going the other day against the Rams. Whether it's Rondell Moore or obviously you have DeAndre Hopkins going off on certain games. So there are so many weapons. It's an explosive offense. And defensively, adding the veterans that they did. J.J. Watt is one example, a guy up front who can help the pass rush. They get the pass rush from Chandler Jones, the linebackers, the second level, active, athletic, fast guys. And Budda Baker's a big-time safety, but the young corners are playing well. They dominated the Rams from start to finish. That game wasn't as close as the score would indicate, and that's a great sign for the Arizona Cardinals. But I will say this. The last time they started 4-0 in a season, they finished 5-11.
All right, so they're at home against the Niners after getting that road win at SoFi Stadium. Big matchup this weekend, Sunday Night Football. We've got the Bills and the Chiefs. We'll talk about KC in just a second, Pete, but from a Buffalo perspective, they've rebounded nicely from that opening season loss to the Steelers. Then they beat the Dolphins, the football team, and Houston. What are you hoping to learn about this team as they get ready for their game this week?
Well, I think it's all about the defense, and their focus in the offseason was beating Patrick Mahomes. And they would never admit that, but that's exactly what it was. When you look at the way things played out in the 2 losses to the Chiefs last year, they had 2 sacks, 2. They did not pressure Mahomes, and then they watched the Super Bowl and saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get all over Mahomes with their pressure. So what did? They addressed it in the offseason. They drafted Greg Rousseau out of Miami in the first round. They drafted Boogie Basham in the second round. He had his first sack the other day. Rousseau has 2. The idea was to pressure the quarterback, influence Patrick Mahomes, and they're the number 1 ranked scoring defense in the league. They're the number 1 ranked defense in terms of yards. They have 2 shutouts. It's only the 3rd team since 1990 to have 2 shutouts in the first 4 games. They are a dominant defense, and we know offensively they can score points. So when they go into Kansas City, keep an eye on the defense. Can they pressure Mahomes? If they can pressure Mahomes, win that game, they have a real chance to have home field advantage in the postseason.
Speaking of defense, now let's focus on the Kansas City Chiefs. Why do you still have some concerns with that side of the football with Andy Reid and company?
It's defense. It's all about the defense. They've been awful. I mean, Jalen Hurts did anything he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. The other day, in fact, they had a couple touchdowns called back. The Eagles moved up and down the field. We know the Chiefs' offense is going to be explosive. There was some, issues with turnovers against the Chargers, but Patrick Mahomes got back on track with 5 touchdown passes the other day. And I think when you look at their defense, there are major questions. Should they have moved Chris Jones to defensive end? He was a great defensive tackle. He's an average defensive end. So I think until they fix that side of the football, they're going to have to outscore a lot of teams. And when you look at this game, the Bills are the more complete team right now. They have the better defense, and they're almost just as good on offense. So it'll be interesting to see how that game plays out.
According to Pete Prisco, that's going to be 4 versus 9 on Sunday Night Football. Pete, let's talk about number 13. The Bengals are sitting there at 3-1. Some people questioning the legitimacy of that record, but they're hosting the Packers here. Packers coming in at number 2 for you. What's at stake for Cincinnati if they're able to get a win?
It's funny, Tommy. Nobody should question the legitimacy of anything the Bengals do well. I mean, they haven't done it in so long. that the fact that they're even winning games is a step in the right direction. And they have their franchise quarterback. Joe Burrow is a cool customer in the third and fourth quarter. He knows how to make plays. He's smart. He's accurate. And he's going to be everything that they thought he would be. Remember, I get, ripped and ridiculed and everything else by Brady Quinn and gang for saying that the Bengals would win a Super Bowl the next 10 years. Well, I said that on draft night. Year 1, knee injury. Year 2, they're 3-1. But we'll know more about them this week. Green Bay goes in there, and we'll get a better gauge of where the Bengals are. But I think they hang around in that game. They're a good football team, and they got a lot of young players who are improving week by week.
A win would certainly get them in the top 10, I would assume. And quickly, Pete, before I let you go, the race for the bottom. The Jags, after the loss to Cincinnati, certainly has Urban Meyer and company at the very bottom at 0-4. But the Jets get their win, and you move them up to 30. Any thought about getting them higher over the Texans, maybe even the Steelers?
No. I mean, look, the Jets won that game and probably should not have. There were some real botched plays early in the game by the Titans. But credit goes to Robert Saleh. He has his team playing hard. Zach Wilson made plays outside the pocket in the fourth quarter. I was impressed with the Jets, but no, they're not one of the better teams in the 20s, in the mid-20s. They're still a bottom feeder, but nobody's more of a bottom feeder than the Jacksonville Jaguars, and their coach won't even take the team plane home.
Oh, seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way, at some point after that win against Buffalo, was in the top 10, now checking in at number 28. Pete Prisco's list, check it out at CBSSports.com. Pete, certainly appreciate it. Want to let you know about the All Things Covered podcast as well. Patrick Peterson and Brian McFadden. Make sure to check out usually 1 or 2 drops a week. Great player interviews, insights into that Vikings team of what they're going through right now during the NFL season.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.